Hello, it's Natalie Fuller here with you again. For those who don't know me, I'm a nurse. I also speak in the natural health field, and one of my favorite topics is teaching people the link between their digestive system, or what we refer to as gut health, and symptoms of disease and actual disease. You know, I've heard Elizabeth talk about if your gut isn't healthy, it can almost make you drunk. And it's actually a fact that if you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria, it can interfere with the carbohydrate absorption. And that will result in carbohydrate fermentation. And we know that fermentation is the production of alcohol. So, and that's what can lead to the things we talked about in the previous video, where we talked about the gas and the bloating and the pain and the mucus in the stool. But if you let that continue, this bacterial overgrowth will begin to damage the intestinal wall. If you have never heard the term leaky gut, then I would encourage all of you to Google leaky gut and whatever disease process you're concerned about. It can be an autoimmune disorder like Hashimoto's disease, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. It can be fibromyalgia, a host of diseases. Anything you are concerned about, type out in leaky gut and that disease process. And you might be surprised to learn that this overgrowth of bad bacteria is going to have damaging effects to the intestinal wall. Now imagine that the intestinal system is simply a barrier between the food you take and your blood supply system. And it's permeable. It needs to be permeable in order for the nutrients to move from your intestinal wall into your blood supply system, where we deliver the vitamins and the minerals and the healthy nutrition that's required to feed those trillions of cells in your body that make you up, makes you are all those cells, and feed your muscles and feed your nerves and feed your skin. Well, imagine if you begin to damage that intestinal wall. And that damage is caused by this overgrowth of bacteria producing very toxic substances and gases that poke holes in your intestine. Essentially, well, that's what's happening. So instead of being able to separate the good from the bad when you take in your food, much of your nutrients, the good and the bad, starts leaking through your gut. And that begins to create autoimmune responses. And suddenly somebody finds themselves developing arthritis, creating tremendous inflammation, tremendous pain and discomfort, and really life-altering health damage can happen just because you didn't start by looking after your intestines. So we need to protect that very permeable intestinal wall that can be so easily compromised by just not making the right decisions, taking the right supplements, or avoiding the very foods that might be disrupting you. For example, too much sugar, too much carbohydrates can be damaging. Alcohol, stress can play a part. It could really be structural. It could be that over time you've developed some challenges in your intestinal system, some fistula, for example. It could be that, especially as people age, they have they overuse antacids. The overuse of antacids is very damaging to the intestinal system. You may not have adequate fiber. Fiber is one of the most important protective, we don't really call fiber a nutrient, but it's protective. It has a protective nature for your intestinal system. So it's important that you identify these things that might be affecting you and try to change them. It might be just learning some healthy meditation, taking some deep breaths, taking time for yourself, taking a nice bath might just eliminate some of that stress and just slow down some of the activity in your intestinal system that might help protect it. So understand that what you eat and the supplements you take and the way you live may very much be affecting your risk for disease, and in particular autoimmune diseases, but you also have that in control, your control, to slow down, avoid, and maybe even eliminate.